Welcome to Drinks Coach. Slightly different one today. We're in a hotel. My dear friend Charles Dark, who owns the WYNNSTAY Hotel in MACHYNLLETH, the cultural, spiritual centre of Mid Wales, I guess. And we're in his gorgeous cwtch. He's got a great eye for things, and it's one of the most cosy places in the world to sit, frankly. It's a great hotel. A lot of people come here to shoot. There's a fantastic shooting layout. People come to fish. I know two of Charles's big passions. And we also have the most terrific chef in Gareth Johns, cooking all local produce. It's just a wonderful experience. And for those of you who have had decent food outside of London, you start to question why you pay London prices, frankly. Eating here is a great experience. And one of the things that augments that is Charles's passion, fetish even, for highly obscure, interesting Italian wines, which he imports himself, which you can buy here, off sale, or you pay a small surcharge, £9, to drink them in the restaurant for dinner. And he has the most fantastic range of Italian wines. Charles and his wife Sheila have spent many years in Italy, and they know the cuisine and the food very, very well, and that really kind of drives the vibe of the food and drink here. Am I right? I think that's absolutely. And we always talk about, whenever I come through the door, Charles says, have you had Manzoni Bianco before? And 9 times out of 10 I'm going, I'm sorry, I thought I was an expert. And he has great varieties I've never heard of. Almost every time I come in there's something new. But I thought it would be quite fun, therefore, for those people who have watched previous episodes of this channel, where I have chosen unusual varieties which are now becoming to the fore, like Greco di Tufo, Falanghina del Sannio, varieties which deserved to be much more popular than they were, and they're now getting the credit they deserve. So in an attempt to maybe preempt another craze, let's pick 3 varieties from Charles's list, which I think deserve a bigger audience. I think that's fair. We've got a wine from Venezia here, wine from the fantastic Rechsteiner company. We have a wine from one of the great and actually not so well known producers of Barolo, from the great, the epicenter, the Bethlehem of vineyards for Barolo, which is La Mora, Alessandro Rivetto. And we've also got, is it Elena? Is it Elena? Yeah, Elena Bonelli, who is somebody that Charles introduced me to. I met at Vinitaly a couple of years ago. Very lovely lady who makes wines in Emilia-Romagna, and we've got a wine here which might surprise some of you, from a variety called Ortrugo. So let's start off with this Manzoni Bianco. Who's heard of Manzoni Bianco? Let's look at that. Rechsteiner, very stylish labels. They make some bloody good wines, don't they? You've shown me some delicious wines from these people. Azienda Agricola Rechsteiner is, as I said, from Veneto. Professore Manzoni was one of the great innovators of grape science during the 30s. A lot of this stuff was going on in Geisenheim in Germany, but people don't realise quite how advanced the Italian universities were in terms of crossing varieties to try and make better wines, maybe to create more rot resistance, more disease resistance, but intentionally trying to improve the wines in every way, maybe improving the yields, maybe restricting the yields so they can grow them in much more fertile soils. And Manzoni Bianco is probably his greatest achievement. He made loads and loads of different crossings from all sorts of great varieties, most of which we haven't heard of. But Manzoni Bianco is one of the only 2 of Manzoni's crossings which actually end up getting their own name. Manzoni Bianco being a cross between a Pinot Bianco, very, very popular in Colli Orientali and Friuli, in the northeast of Italy, not far from Veneto, and also Riesling. Of course, Riesling coming from Germany, but also being grown very heavily in Austria, just over the border. So it made sense to take these 2 varieties, which they already knew grew very, very well in the hills of Veneto and towards the Alps, and the success is in the glass here. 2019, which, generally speaking, I found to be an absolutely delicious vintage in Italy. I mean, if you drink Garvey, if you drink Soave, 2019, you go, yeah, it's on song, it's back in the game. Some vintages recently have been very wet, some very, very sour, some very hot, but 19, really lovely. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Quite a nice colour. It's pale straw, it's not too heavy, it's not too deep, it doesn't look threatening in any way. Got a lovely smell. Actually, the smell isn't dissimilar to other lovely, briny, minerally Italian wines. It kind of reminds me a little bit like Premium Lugana or Soave anyway.
It's definitely an Italian wine.
It is, isn't it? You know, and it doesn't make any bones about it. You smell it and go, right, I know it's Italian, I just don't know what it is yet. So what would you eat with that?
It is a great fish wine, isn't it? I mean, anything...
Some Adriatic snapper or some mullet or something. It's quite delicious. So how much are you saying that for in the hotel?
On the table, this is in the low 20s.
There you go. A wine that you probably can't try anywhere else in England. Come here to eat... Or Wales, forgive me. And you sit down and eat some Welsh black beef, or you have a beautiful bit of turbot, glass of this. Brilliant value, fantastic, lovely wine. Okay, moving on. What's lovely about this also is that Charles has pulled a bottle out of his fridge, which is nice and cold. And I know that Alessandro Rivetto, when asked what should they do with this wonderful variety, which is incredibly rare, Nascetta, he says, well, you can drink it very, very young. You can drink it fresh, but actually he likes to drink it 5 to 10 years old. And we're very lucky to have a 2015, another killer vintage. So it's 5 years old now, so it should be on song. Nascetta. Nascetta is actually indigenous to Piemonte, where the great wines of Barolo and Barbaresco come from. And of course Asti, don't forget Asti, don't knock the Asti. Look at that, you've got a little bit, got a lovely colour actually. It's not, again, it's not an oxidised colour, it's a deep golden, so burnished silver. God, it smells good. Have a sniff on that. Oh, it smells fantastic. It's got beautiful development. Let me pour another glass. Yes, absolutely. Oh, it's pretty good, isn't it? It's very rare that you drink unoaked white wines with a decent bottle age on it. I can pour some more in the glass.
Oh, this is your glass.
No, it's all right. This is mine now.
All right.
I'm sorry. No, swap back, just in case. Got to take COVID very seriously. So, right. So, it's got a beautiful nose. And the nose, actually, what's really interesting is famously, Alessandro Rivetto's father said the reason why they started planting Nascetta, replanting it, is because it was very, very well known on the sort of like the table, you know, the restaurant tables of Milan and Turin and Genoa in the 1800s. And it's pretty much almost died out. And when asked what the style of the wine was like, they always said they mimicked the great wines of the Rheingau in Germany. So they're kind of making it, nodding towards premium German Riesling. But I wouldn't have thought that smelled like Riesling when it was first bottled. But now it's got honeysuckle and all sorts of sexy, what we call tertiary notes coming through. It's not fucking around either. It's 14%. So make sure you get a cab home. Wow, that's a special one. That would be great with grand fish, with turbots, with a lovely lemon sole or something.
Turbot and sea trout tomorrow night.
Well, we know where that's going. I can't believe weather. We're in mid Wales. It's definitely middle September, and we're just having the most incredible week. The weather's just mind blowing.
Indian summer or Welsh summer?
Welsh summer, yeah, indeed. Plenty of Indians in Wales, I've noticed. Right, going on to the last one. Didn't want to blind you too much, so this is Mrs. Bonelli's Ortrugo del Colli Piacentini. So it's from the Piacenza Hills in what can only be described as kind of like the basket of Italy. I mean, you think about balsamic vinegar, you think about premium olive oil, you think about all sorts of great things, Parmesan cheese. Why would you want to live any more than about... I mean, 1,000 miles is too far away, and we're 1,000 miles from it at the moment, which is a bit disappointing. But so this wine is called Beldi. I'm not sure what that means. Does that translate? Un bel di vedremo.
Because the librettist for Puccini came from Piacenza.
Oh, I see. Okay, good.
So
that's
all
always
the
the story.
wines have now got a nod to his...
And I just wanted to say that I met this lady at Vinitaly, the world's largest wine fair. So it's an absolute hoot. But it has all the organisational skills you expect from Italy. It's absolute carnage. But on the way out, literally on the way to the airport, Charles, I remember Charles saying, you must go and visit this lady at her stand. And Emilia-Romagna, despite being the place for ham, the place for cheese, the place for vinegar, the place for olive oil, the place for all these incredible ingredients, it's always being trod on a little bit by its neighbours for its quality of wine. And it's a truism that you can go to any region in Italy and find world-class wine, even the ones you don't know. Sometimes you don't know them because the grape varieties are difficult to grow. Sometimes you don't know them because the wines are hard to pronounce. There could be a million reasons why. There we go. See that? Smoke coming out. Can you see that? This wine, ladies and gentlemen, it's not spumante, but it's definitely frizzante. So look at that. It's actually got a sparkle to it. I always get a little bit nervous with a table bottle when you pull it and there's fizz inside, because you don't know whether it was on purpose or not, but thankfully in this case it always is. Ortrugo is a variety which always has nice colour and is often grown, well, originally it was grown only to make dessert wines, but it was started off as a sweet wine, but it's very, very common to find these wines in this style, which is a little bit of carbon, lots of carbon dioxide, in fact, left over from the fermentation. So do you remember the first time we tried this, Charles?
Yeah, I met it in London, introduced by Colin Presti at an exhibition of foods and wines from Emilia-Romagna.
Lovely.
First taste, just thought, wow.
Oh, it's just so easy to drink.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. Once people drink this once, it's kind of wine where you should offer it by the glass because you know the rest of the wine is going straight after it. I mean, it's just, I don't think you could stop at one, can you?
No. No, there are some people who, every time they come, it's a bottle of Ortrugo.
There you go. And actually, Gareth, the chef here, he said, oh, Ortrugo is my sort of go-to.
Yeah.
And he's been lucky enough to meet this lovely lady too. Charming woman that she is. Flavour-wise, what's nice about it is it doesn't have high acidity. A lot of sparkling wines are very high in acid, and that's tricky, you know, especially if you have acid reflux and so forth. It doesn't always lend itself very well to food. This wine has, if anything, moderate acidity. It actually tastes like a sparkling table wine. It doesn't have the sharpness that you expect in things like the Sauvignon Blanc. It's got a lovely roundness to it. Definitely tastes of pears. I mean, you can't describe it as anything else, could you? It's like pear cordial.
Almost.
Only you need to get a taxi. So this is 2019, so it's lovely and fresh. 11.5% alcohol. So one's guessing that maybe 1% of that alcohol is the gas and the residual sugar in the wine to help balance it. It's just so nice. There are certain wines in Italy which you don't need to think about. They're not meditazione wines. They're just wines that just give you instant pleasure. And I think Moscato d'Asti's one. Ortrugo is definitely another.
This is a sort of tiramisu.
Yeah.
And it's a pick-me-up.
Wallop. Yeah, and it just perks you up and off you go. Be a lovely wine to have if you're having a maybe 5-course meal. Rather than having a sorbet course, just give people a chilled glass of this and it just gets them going. What the French call a bonne bouche.
Great party wine.
Well, here we are at the WYNNSTAY. I'm going to put all the details about the hotel below with links. If you want to try these wines and you happen to be in Wales, do come. He's got the most incredible range of wines and he sells wines by the glass. Food's delicious. Everything's locally sourced, which is one of the reasons why it's the reason we met, in fact. My wife's friend lives up on a side of a mountain growing all sorts of strange things, and they bring them to this hotel to be cooked. And I just want to say thank you very much to MACHYNLLETH for welcoming me. I love this place, and the year's not the same if I don't come. See you next time.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Charles.